there's a very strong possibility that War of the Sparks will have a hidden 37th secret Planeswalker. But who will it be? Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. Today, we are here to discuss the very likely possibility of a 37th, so weird saying 37th. Anyways, a 37th Planeswalker lurking in War of the Sparks. How does that work, you ask? I mean, obviously they've showed us all the stained glass artwork, everything of that nature. Well, there's something that we haven't covered yet. The Buy-A-Box promo. Oh, for those of you who aren't really familiar with that, I imagine there's not very many of you, but just to make sure we're all on the same page, what Wizards of the Coast does now with its Buy-A-Box promos is they actually create a unique card that doesn't technically exist inside the War of the Sparks set, but can be played inside of Standard along with all of those cards. Considering that War of the Sparks is the Planeswalker Matter set, well, what better place to have a Buy-A-Box promo as an additional Planeswalker? How better to add even further to the hype of the Planeswalker set than to have the Buy-A-Box promo be another Planeswalker? So, what I want to do is evaluate the possibilities. Let us discuss which Planeswalkers exist currently that weren't shown in the 36. If you don't know what I'm talking about the 36, go ahead and take a look at what I released yesterday, the teaser, where we take a look at 36 pieces of stained glass artwork, looking at all the different Planeswalkers. Some of them are kind of funny. You might want to go and check it out. It's a good chuckle. That way you'll be on the same page. You'll know all the 36 that we're talking about. And I'm going to discuss the possibilities. I have a list here of Planeswalkers that could be the Buy-A-Box promo. Now, just to make sure we're all on the same page, I am making one assumption that is not really included in yesterday's video. Actually, I'm making two assumptions. The first assumption is that the Raiden-hatted white-haired individual is Mu Yanling. So in this regard, Mu will not be on my list of possible subjects. On top of that, I'm not including any Planeswalkers that don't already exist on a Magic card. And the reason for this is, if we didn't limit it in this fashion, then there would be far too many options, because there are a whole large number of Planeswalkers that have never seen a Magic card, haven't actually been on a card, but could be considered a possible because of the sheer size of the multiverse. There are a lot of Planeswalkers yet that don't have cards. Bear in mind that when you looked at yesterday's the stained glass art and everything like that, Davriel Kane was included there, and technically, yes, he is a Planeswalker who doesn't have a card yet, but I'm also not 100% convinced that that is Davriel Kane. It is likely to be him, but I'm not convinced. So, he's also removed from the list of potential suspects. We have basically 8 different possibilities of creatures that exist on cards already. And what I'm going to do is we'll go through each of who they are. We'll put up an image of each of them, give you a little rough idea of who they are, and then afterwards we'll talk about who the most likely candidates are, because some of these are more easy to rule out than others in terms of who would be showing up for the Grand War of the Spark. So, starting out, we've got Dack Fayden, the greatest thief of the multiverse. You guys are probably familiar with him. He originally showed up in the conspiracy area, and then he ended up getting a reprint, not with a different card though. There's only been one printing so far of Dack Fayden. He's the red-blue aligned thief magi. So we've got Dack Fayden, we've got Duretti. Now Duretti showed up both in red and red-black formats. Duretti is a goblin Planeswalker, which makes him kind of unique. I like that. One of the things that I don't actually like about Duretti is that he has a half mechanical body. And it's not a problem for me that he has a half mechanical body because he created it for himself and, oh, Planeswalkers shouldn't have half mechanical bodies. It's how his Planeswalker Spark ignited. Pretty much everybody's Planeswalker Sparks ignite when they are under extreme stress, usually in life-threatening circumstances, but they manage to escape whole and hearty. For some reason, Duretti's Spark ignited, but he lost half of his body in the process. In a way, it makes him unique, but it does irk me just a little bit. It feels a little bit wrong. So he is an artificer. He basically designs, different artifacts and things like that. He was part of what happened in the conspiracy block as well, kind of thwarting Muzio's plans, kind of stopping coups from happening. Next up, we've got Elspeth. Elspeth is dead, but I mean, she's not really dead. Honestly, I even went to double check the information surrounding Elspeth. For those of you who don't know, she is a white aligned planeswalker. She ended up in Theros. She sacrificed her life, and I say that in quotations because she didn't really sacrifice her life. She kind of sacrificed her spear, right? In an attempt to stop, Xenagos, she sacrificed her life in the process. But Theros is a world with an underworld, so she didn't really die. She just kind of moved. She just kind of moved to a new location. She went to a different area. She just packed up her bags and went, I'm going 10 feet downwards. That's about it. Normally when it comes to Theros' underworld, what happens is the dead either spend eternity trapped there, or they can forsake their memory and identity, don a golden mask, and return to the world as one of the returned, but they've forsaken their identity. Now, it's specifically stated by Wizards of the Coast in one of their articles that sort of returned thing, where you lose your identity and memories, is consigned to mortals, regular mortals. And they follow that up immediately by saying Elspeth is no regular mortal. So as far as I'm concerned, Elspeth can leave Theros Underworld whenever she wants to. She's just chilling there, sitting in the waiting zone, all right? After Elspeth, we've got my personal favorite of all the planeswalkers who are currently MIA, and that's Garruk. Oh man, I can't wait for them to return Garruk. And for those of you who think Garruk isn't coming back, it's basic. Mark Rosewater has a list of things that if they might happen or when they will happen. And Garruk is on the list of when they will happen. So we will see the return of Garruk at some point. In fact, I have a lore series on Garruk. It's going to be a 4-episode series. There's only 1 episode out so far. It's called Growing Up Garruk. It's the childhood of Garruk up until he becomes 17. You should check it out. What I'll do is I'll put a link to the lore videos at the end of the video. At the end of this video, there'll be a link, and you can go through the lore videos, and the Garruk video is one of the more recent ones in there. So take a look at that. It's pretty good. Garruk is your green-aligned, ferocious, tribal sort of, I care about big beasts. He's basically the multiverse's greatest hunter. Get out of here, Vivian Reed. You ain't got nothing. You ain't got nothing on Garruk. So Garruk was originally a green-aligned planeswalker that ended up being corrupted by black magic. And so he was a green-black aligned. He went basically crazy from that. We'll go into that more later, but that's basically all you really need to know for the moment. Here's hoping, I really hope that Garruk comes back soon. Then we've got Koth. Koth is a red-aligned planeswalker from the Mirrodin world that got corrupted by the Phyrexians. So he existed on that world. He fought against the Phyrexians. His fate is currently unknown. The Phyrexians managed to pretty much take over the surface of Mirrodin and turn it into New Phyrexia, but they didn't take over the entirety of New Phyrexia. So Koth kind of retreated to the inside. We don't really know exactly what Koth's current state is. Then we've got Inzerva. Now, Inzerva can basically almost be waved away. Inzerva is a special planeswalker that was created as part of the 2018 Hero series. So I included Inzerva simply because Inzerva meets the qualifications of being a planeswalker that has a card printed, but with no real flavor or story behind it. This dragon planeswalker theoretically could be the secret mystery planeswalker, but this one's the least likely to me. So there's not really much to say about this one. So we're just going to move on to the next one, who is someone I've already mentioned before, and that's Xenagos. Xenagos was a satyr from the world of Theros who was obsessed with hedonistic pleasure, and then he decided that he wanted to ascend to godhood. He wanted to transcend his mortality and join the pantheon of gods of Theros. Not only did he want to do that, but he achieved it. That is very, very cool story-wise. I don't know how many of you are aware of like the Dragonlance novels, which has nothing to do with Magic the Gathering, but is a very, very excellent fantasy series. Well, there's a character in this series called Rastlin, or Rastlin, however you want to pronounce it. He has dreams of becoming a god, and he actually manages to accomplish it. So it's very, very cool. I really enjoy the parallels between him and Xenagos in that regard. The idea of actually forcing your way into a godly pantheon and there's nothing they can do about it is pretty amazing. Now, he ended up again being destroyed, but they don't know if he escaped into the underworld as well. Considering that he also is on Theros and we're dealing with an underworld where normal mortals lose their identities and powers and everything like that, but anybody who transcends that isn't limited by the same situation, as evidenced by, what's her name? Elspeth. I don't know how I lost that, considering I talked about it a second ago. So, yeah, Xenagos is in the same basket as Elspeth in the, I'm just chilling down in the underworld. So he totally can come back, even though he's theoretically destroyed. And then we have Tezzeret. Tezzeret, obviously, the one who's been instrumental in Bolas's plans, the one who's been responsible for the planar bridge, the seizing of all of the artifacts on Kaladesh. He has obviously been a big player recently. He's a blue-aligned planeswalker with a metal body. I don't know if I mentioned it, but Xenagos is green-red. Anyways, the whole situation with Tezzeret is still up in the air. What's he doing right now? Where is he, right? So this is the cast of characters that we have to select from when it comes to who would be the 37th Planeswalker. Now, I expect whoever they pick to be the 37th Planeswalker, if that is what the BioBox promo turns out to be, it would be somebody who ties into the story. They would have a thematic reason for them to return. Now, that pretty much rules out Inzerva off of my list right away, because when we look at Inzerva, we can't come up with any real story reason for Inzerva to be there. And there's certain characters where you can come up with reasons almost for anyone to be there. Dak Faden as a thief could be attracted to so many planeswalkers being there because there could be some really interesting things to steal. Duretti likes to interfere with coups and things like that, so he could be there just to throw off Bolas's plans. Elspeth could make her grand return in this fashion. She's friends with a bunch of different planeswalkers, so she could just show up because these other guys are there. Garruk could show up because Garruk was corrupted by the Chain Veil and Liliana's dark magic. And Liliana is on Ravnica right now. So Garruk could show up in full-on vengeance, free me mode, which honestly, it's what I'm rooting for the hardest, even though I don't believe that's the most likely scenario. But it could happen. Koth could show up looking to find Karn. Koth could show up looking for Karn, saying, come back and help the world of Mirrodin, help your creation, help us. So Koth could show up that way. Xenagos is, unless he was coming to try and regain his godhood, a quest for power, something like that, I couldn't really see Xenagos being there unless somehow Bolas had lured him there, and that seems highly unlikely. So Xenagos is really low on my list. And the last option really feels like the most likely to me, and that's Tezzeret, because Tezzeret is firmly wired into Bolas's plans, including bringing the whole Immortal Sun. This is most likely what's being used on Ravnica in War of the Sparks, the Immortal Sun here, right? So Tezzeret is instrumental in a bunch of different things that are going on with the planar bridge, the seizing everything on Kaladesh. Thematically, story-wise, he has the strongest likelihood, in my opinion, of being the individual who will make up that 37th Planeswalker slot for flavor and story reasons. Bear in mind, that's only if the BioBox is a Planeswalker. They may decide to do something else tied to a Planeswalker. They may do a Wrath of God effect that wipes out all Planeswalkers. They may make a card that destroys all emblems. Who knows? But I think it's likely that it's going to be a Planeswalker. It fits into the theme. I also think it's likely it's going to be a Planeswalker that's already seen a card, and that's why I've laid it all out. So my opinion is it's most likely going to be Tezzeret out of the 8 most likely culprits that I have selected. I'm genuinely interested to know what your guys' thoughts are on the matter. And in the meantime, let's check in with the 6 color of Magic.
Hello, I'd like to say hello to you guys. This is Minion Chris, and congratulate MTG Purple on the increase of followers. And just like it's been yesterday, remembering first heard of you, it was the Wizard what got me. Now we have MTG Purple, Perp, and you have the boss monster, which is hilarious. Can't wait for him to go off again on somebody. And now you're Magic Historian. My friend, if you get any more names, we're going to need 4 scrolls just to start naming them off. Just want to say it's been great watching everything you've done. And together, we are the 6th color of Magic. Have a good night.
And the final thing to do, my friends, is to roll the golden scroll. The people who have my back on Patreon or through channel memberships. Today, we are welcoming 2 brand new members. First, on the Patreon side, we have Michael K. Stratronovic. Sorry if I messed up your name, man. You got a tricky one. Thanks for joining up, brother. I genuinely appreciate it. And on the channel membership side, we have Joel Andrew Fallardew. Again, sorry if I messed up your name. Not the best with them. Thanks for joining up, boys. Really appreciate having that support for my channel. Makes a huge difference. And to everyone, thanks for being here, and I will see you guys tomorrow.